All right. Rosh Chodesh Sameach. All right. Awesome. Well, welcome to our Rosh Chodesh service, okay, for the month of Kislev. All right, this is the month which Hanukkah falls in, right? So we got Kislev for Hanukkah. And so today is the Rosh Chodesh. So tomorrow actually is the first of Kislev, right? We're doing this in the night after sundown, okay, for the beginning of the day. All right, so that's it. All right, so for those of you that are watching that are new to all this, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a brief service. It's all screen-driven, meaning it's going to be stuff on the screen that you can all read along with, okay, except for the one slide where I'll officially announce the new moon for the month of Kislev. And then after that, we'll go ahead and do a little discussion to get you guys hopefully motivated in this next month, okay? All right, so if you'll all rise, we'll begin. The service is short. You should be able to stand through the whole thing. And we'll begin with the sounding of the silver trumpet. Amen. Amen. All right, together. Once it gets on the screen. All right, Psalm 51, verse 15. Yahweh sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Yahweh, open my lips that my mouth declare your praise. May the expressions of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, Yahweh, my rock and my redeemer. Also in the day of your gladness and in your appointed times, and in the beginnings of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Kedushat Levinah, the sanctification of the new moon. O Yahweh, our Elohim, and Elohim of our fathers, make this coming month one of good and blessing. Grant us long life, a life of peace, of good, of blessing, of sustenance, of vigor. A life marked by a reverence for you and a dread of sin. A life free from shame and reproach. A life of prosperity and honor. A life in which love of the living Torah and the fear of Elohim animates us. A life in which our heartfelt desires are fulfilled for good. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen. He who performed miracles for our fathers and liberated them from slavery to freedom, may he quickly liberate us and gather our exiles from the four corners of the earth, and let us say, Amen. All right, the new moon of the month of Kislev is today. May it prove to be good and fruitful for all 12 tribes of Yisrael. Amen. May the set-apart one, blessed be he, grant this Rosh Chodesh to us and to all his people, for life and peace, for gladness and joy, for deliverance and consolation, and let us say, Amen. Blessed, praised, glorified, honored, and exalted be the name of the King of Kings, the set-apart one. Blessed be he, who is the first and the last, and beside him there is no Elohim. Extol him in the heavens. Yahweh is his name. Rejoice before his face. His name is honored beyond all blessing and praise. Blessed be his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever. Let the name of Yahweh be blessed forever and ever. From Isaiah 66, verses 22 and 23. For as the new heavens and the new earth that I make stand before me, declares Yahweh, so your seed and your name shall stand. And it shall be that from Rosh Chodesh to Rosh Chodesh, and from Shabbat to Shabbat, all flesh shall come to worship before me, declares Yahweh. Amen. Rosh Chodesh Sameach. Anybody new that doesn't speak any Hebrew, Sameach means joyful, right? So have a joyful new month of Kislev. All right, you may be seated. All right, so today, as we go into Kislev, all right, this is the month that has Hanukkah. All right, now, of course, there are people out there to think, why are you guys doing Hanukkah? By the way, everybody that's actually how they sound. Yeah, they make that face, too. Yes, that's right. Maisie, like, that's how they look, too. All right? Just because you don't understand something, don't pick on it, don't attack it. All right? Okay, so Hanukkah celebrates the rededication of the temple. All right? And so Hanukkah is not about Jewish Christmas. And please don't treat it that way. There was no gift giving going on. Okay? It was a celebration of the rededicating of the temple. Now, why is it 8 days? Well, they had originally were hoping that they would have it rededicated in time for Sukkot and Shemini Atzeret, which is 8 days. But they didn't get it done fast enough for that. So rather than get in trouble, and they know that it is trouble to move a feast, so they weren't going to move Sukkot to a later date, they said, why don't we just have a celebration of the rededication of the temple? And we'll do that for 8 days. Now, of course, there's the legend of the oil burning for 8 days. I've looked. I've not found that anywhere in any kind of solid basis that it actually happened that way. It's a great way, I think, for old grandmothers to teach their grandchildren about the 8 days of Hanukkah and that kind of thing. It may have happened. I'm not mocking it. I just don't find any substantive proof that that's what was going on. What we do know is that when the Maccabees won, they cleared out all of the stuff that was in the temple, right? We're looking, we are looking forward to, in a sort of bizarre way, this abomination of desolation being set up in the holy place as part of the end time events. Well, guess when it happened last time? In the temple. Okay, that was the abomination of desolation that you saw set up, that they had to clean all that stuff out. Okay? So that being the case, the whole idea is that we're celebrating the idea of rededicating the temple. Now, in 1 Corinthians, we're told that we are the temple of the living Elohim. We're the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit. So I have always, and I have a teaching called The Time to Rededicate Yourself, right? And there is, by the way, a playlist on YouTube of all the Hanukkah-related teachings that we've done. And so I've always taught that we should be looking at rededicating ourselves this time of year. So as this is the new moon, leading 25 days from now into Hanukkah, all right? Now, of course, it's also leading into the same date almost exactly for the stuff that the rest of the world does. Every now and then it falls on the same date. What can you do? Okay, or at least it covers it in some way. But the point is that, we have an opportunity. And that opportunity is to focus on rededicating ourselves. Rededicating ourselves to what? Well, the whole point of everything that we do is to transform, right? Every month we have an opportunity, actually every week, every morning, every day. Everything that marks time, when we get to that marker of time, we have an opportunity to start fresh and re-energize ourselves and recommit ourselves and rededicate ourselves in the journey. Okay, you could do that every day when you wake up. You could even do it every night before you go to bed. You could do it every new moon. You could do it every Shabbat. All these things are markers of time, okay, from feast to feast. And then what, of course, I've encouraged you to do is take that rearview mirror backwards look at where you've been and be encouraged, hopefully, by some of the progress you've made. And if you haven't made a whole lot, redouble your efforts. Be motivated to do better. Don't get too discouraged with what you've done. Be encouraged that you still have time. You're still breathing. You're still above ground. Okay, so you can still do. And as long as you have that breath, you can still do. Now remember, he called you because you can. He didn't call you to be frustrated and to struggle and just wonder why in the world did he ever pick you. I know a lot of us have had that thought from time to time. Why in the world did you pick me? Can't answer that question. Well, actually, I can from the point of view of he picked you because from that point when he did pick you, he knew you could make it. He wouldn't pick you at a point where you couldn't make it. That wouldn't make any sense. So he picked you at a point you could make it. So we have these really valuable moments in time where we can look at our lives. Okay, you only get so many days, so many minutes, so many years, etc. And every time, as time moves on, you got less of it. And so we should be taking this thing seriously. I don't want you to be in a panic. I don't want you to be all flipped out thinking, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. But time is moving. You still have enough. If you're not going to waste anymore, let's stop wasting time. Okay? So you need to rededicate yourselves. To what? To all of the roles, R-O-L-E, right? The roles that you have. Okay, rededicate yourself as a child of the living Elohim. That's your first role. Male, female, doesn't matter how old you are, whatever. That's your role. What does that look like? What kind of are you doing a good job? What kind of a job are you doing in that role? It's kind of like, these moments are like performance reviews. Okay, but doing your own self-evaluation. How are you doing in that role? If you're a father, how are you doing in that role? If you're a mother, how are you doing in that role? If you're a husband, if you're a wife, how are you doing in that role? If you've got a ministry position, how are you doing in that role? If you're a congregant, they both have roles, whether it's the congregant or the ministry person. And by the way, there's no less value in either role. There's no less value in the wife or the husband, no less value in the parent or the child. Everybody has their value in their role. Parents, if you're going to be honest about it, you teach your children plenty, but you know what? You learn from them too. You learn a lot as you raise those children. Seeing things that you didn't see so well when you were a child, but now as the parent, you say, oh, I understand a little bit more about what my parents went through, what I put them through, and the challenges they faced. Okay, we learn a lot from our children. So you should be learning from all your experiences. So as we are looking to transform, so we have those roles that we're looking at. By the way, so then we can look at all the areas of our life. Okay, we're talking about the spiritual area. How are you doing in that spiritual area? Are you dedicating yourself fully and properly to this journey into the kingdom, to the transformational process? What about in this world? He put us here to live in this world. Yeshua absolutely said it really clearly, Father, I don't want you to take them out. I want you to help keep them from. In other words, so they would be in but not of the world. We were intended to be in this place. This is our training ground. This is our gym. This is our workout place for all the things we need to do in growth. He intended this to be that place that we would have all those experiences. That includes the 5 major areas of your life. Your spiritual walk and all that journey. Okay, and then what do you do with the things he gives you? Like, how do you handle money, finances? All right? How do you handle relationships? Very important. How do you handle yourself in terms of your health? How do you take care of this house, your body? And lastly, the 5th one is your interaction with the mishpacha, your social interactions. I think we probably all could, after a performance evaluation, improve in all of those 5 areas. Now, you may pick other designations for the areas of your life. Those are just the 5 basic ones that most, personal development teachers use, performance teachers use, okay? But this is not a one-dimensional thing we're doing. This is a multi-dimensional thing we're doing, right? So as a multi-dimensional thing, I want to understand, okay, what I need to do in all those areas. You should want to understand too. What do you need to do in all of those areas? Do you know the world that we're going towards, the kingdom, is going to probably have resources. Maybe we're not going to call it finances, but resources that you need to manage, handle, be responsible for, stewardship over. So think of your finances as a way to start to show how you handle that. In the kingdom that's coming, there's going to be, of course, the Torah observant need, right? The covenantal obligations. Well, then you need to be working on your walk now, because that's going to demonstrate and show him what your walk might look like when you get there. What about your health? If you can't take care of you, how can he trust you to take care of anything else? I mean, the most simple and basic thing is taking care of you. Some of you are all worried about how you take care of other people or how other people take care of you. How about you taking care of you? Because I see some of you, and I'm not judging or picking on you, some of you are good at taking care of others and don't take care of yourselves. You focus very well on worrying about other people's health, situations, whatever, but you're not putting that oxygen mask on yourself first, like they teach you on the airplane, right? They say put it on you first, then the child. Okay? You want to be able to help people. How much more can you help them if you can help yourself? Okay? And then what about your relationships socially, within the body, within the world, interacting with everybody? The kingdom is going to be a place filled with people. And it's going to be, as I've described it, I believe, a community of forever community. Well, if you're not doing very well community-wise, quote unquote, now, how are you going to do then? Are you going to be able to really do that very well? If you're struggling now to interact with people, to spend time with people, to have patience and tolerance of people? I mean, seriously, that is a big part of this. I mean, the kingdom is not always talked about this way. I know you guys hear me say it this way, but a lot of the other teachers out there and the Christian teachers and everybody else you heard in your life, it's always just the goal, okay, of getting to heaven or going to the kingdom, whatever word they use, but not a whole lot of talk about what's going to happen or what's going to be going on once you get there, right? It's just focused on is what you want to end up in. You want to get to that end goal. It doesn't matter what they call it. But they don't really talk a whole lot about, at least I've not heard. Has anybody really heard them talk much about what's going to happen once you get there? Except that it's going to be amazing, right? That's all they want to tell you is, how amazing it's going to be. I don't disagree with them. It's going to be amazing. But we're here in a practice environment, a simulation, whatever you want to call this, to get the rehearsal, the practice, the skill sets honed to perfection, so to speak. So they're really effective skill sets for life in the kingdom. And life in the kingdom is going to be a social activity. There will be relationships. By the way, that was another area. How are your relationships now? We're talking about socially being more the casual relationships, which we still need to have those friends and neighbors that we're able to interact with on a friendly enough basis. But what about the intimate relationships? How are you doing with closer friendships or closer family members? Are you a good friend? Are you a good family member? I know that you might not have a lot of really good friends and family members, but how are you doing your part of it? Because he's watching to see how we do in relationships. Can we agree on that? And so all those 5 areas, I want us to rededicate ourselves to grow towards that Yeshua-like goal in all of those 5 areas. Because it's not a one-dimensional thing. I think the church teaches it somewhat one-dimensional when they just say you just got to believe. They don't really define that very clearly. But it's just about believing. I don't disagree with them if we define it better, because belief is why you do. Belief is why you will want to walk the covenant more correctly, more effectively, more genuinely, with more integrity. Belief is why you'll want better relationships. Belief is why you'll handle your resources better. Belief is why you'll want to be more socially interactive. Belief is why you'll take care of your health and yourself. And that includes your mental health, your psycho-emotional part of you. A lot of us struggle in that area. And we don't want to get the help. We get too much pride, Pride's a big thing. We read Deuteronomy 8:2. What's the first thing that he says? He said he humbled them. That was the purpose of the wilderness journey, was to humble them. We tend to focus on to test them to prove whether it was in their heart to keep the commandments, but it was first to humble them. And some of you are thinking, I don't have any pride. I'm poor, I'm broke, I'm this and that. Yeah, I know, but then what happens when someone tries to help you? And you don't want to let somebody help you. That's pride. Pride comes in all kinds of forms. You don't have to be like in your stature above anybody to have like a pride problem because I think I'm better than you. I've known some people that didn't have a whole lot, but man, they were overwhelmed with some pride because you could not help them for nothing. They'd be happy to try to give you the shirt off their back because that was part of their pride, is that I'm the one who helps, I'm the one who gives. You try to help them, okay? Some of your pride is keeping you from getting counseling because then you might have to admit you're not perfect, that you got issues. We got to deal with that stuff. Okay, we're supposed to be transforming into his image. Do we see anything in Yeshua other than complete humility? No pride there. And certainly he knew who he was. He could have had an ego problem, like, don't you know who I am? Instead, he said things like, I know who I am. I wonder who you think I am. As opposed to like, who do you think, do you know who you're talking to? Who you think? No, that's our ego and our pride and just nonsense. But we should have that humility. And so as we go forward in this month, I want us to rededicate ourselves to those things. Now, what are you going to need for those things? Well, you're going to need some counsel probably in some of those areas. And I don't necessarily mean with me. Some of those areas you may need to talk to someone in the medical profession. Some of those areas you may talk to somebody in the therapy profession. Some of those areas you might need to talk to a financial advisor. Okay, there are things that you just may need some help with from a professional. Some of you think, I love the way, and I used to be a personal trainer, I used to be a manager of a gym, all that kind of stuff. I love the way people think that the solution is, well, just go to the gym. And do what? If you don't know what to do when you get there. Because you walk in, there's a lot of machines, there's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of weights. What do you do? How much weight? How many reps? How often do I work that same muscle group? How many different muscle groups are there in a particular part of the body? I mean, you're like, well, I know I need to do something for my shoulders. Okay, but there's different heads of the shoulders. Okay, there's 3 different aspects of the shoulders you need to work on. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so maybe you need a trainer, at least to show you how to use everything and help make a plan for you. Maybe you need that in all aspects of your life. Maybe you need a trainer to help make a plan for you so that you know what you're doing. And that could be in any area of your life. Way, way back when, we were in Sukkot or Passover, and we were at, I think, the YMCA we were renting that year. Okay, so some of you may remember back to that. And I did an up to the challenge on finances, I think. It was one of the first ones I did, and I basically laid out a very simple process. Okay? So the first thing is you kind of pick, at least wherever you are in your particular area that you're working on, pick where you think you'd like to be. The reason I say where you think you'd like to be, because you may change your mind as you start heading in that direction, but pick where you think you'd like to be. And we'll take that with finances or getting in shape. Those are 2 simple things. Okay, let's take finances. Okay, I'd like to be somewhere financially in terms of my income and paying my bills and my lifestyle. Fine. Then go and get professional guidance to come up with the plan to get to that goal. And that could be in any of those 5 areas of your life. Then go work the plan. And then after a set period of time, 6 months, a year, you go back to your guidance person and you review the results that you're getting. And then, if necessary, you adjust the plan. And then you go and work the plan again, and then you come and check the results, and then you go back for guidance, and then you adjust the plan. And this is the cycle over and over again that you do. Okay? If any of you actually go to a medical professional, did you need to just go once in your life and then you never need to go again? Or are you supposed to maybe go on a regular basis just to get checked up on, just to see where you're at? And you get some blood work and some other things to see where all your numbers are at. You have to go somewhere to somebody to get some sort of an assessment of where you're at. I mean, some things you can do yourself. You want to know where you are financially? Look at your bank account. Look at your investments. Oh, some of you are thinking, what investments? Well, there you go. Maybe you need to have some, but you don't. How do you get to the point where you can have some? I could give you guidance on that if you came to me. Other people can too. But the thing is, you need to go to somebody. All right, I go to a health professional, and I get my blood work done twice a year. And when I get it done, we sit down and go over all of the things that are tested for to see where my numbers are in every one of those things so that I know if there's anything to do that needs adjusting to get those numbers to stay in or to improve to the places that I want it to be. And then we come up with a plan. And then I implement the plan. And then we check it 6 months later to see how that plan is going. And then we tweak things if they need to be adjusted a little bit. And because of that, I happen to find a good person that I go to. My numbers improved every single time I get tested. Or the ones that have improved to where they need to be, they now stay steady in that range. But it's only because I went and got evaluated. Okay, started off with the goal. What do you want to do? I wanted to be healthy. I knew I wasn't. When I first started going, if all of you remember, I was pretty much, my lungs were shut down. I had terrible pneumonia in both lungs. I was not in good shape. So I went and saw a health professional. Not just about fixing the lung problem, but hey, let's see what the rest of me is doing. Because, I was getting to be near 60 years old, and I thought I probably should have a good idea of where I'm at. It's amazing how many people end up with all kinds of things going wrong because they've never bothered to go check. It'd be like never taking your car in to be looked at. Okay? Some of you are like, what do you mean, take my car in to be looked at? How else are you going to know what's going on with your car if nobody looks at it? How are you going to know what's going on with you if nobody looks at it? Okay? I've always tried to maintain a relationship with a mechanic to make sure that my car would get looked at several times a year. Hey, I bring it in for an oil change. Oh, yeah, you could change your own oil. But are you qualified to assess everything else with your car? I find it's worth paying the $50 or whatever it is for the oil change in order to also have them check everything else while they're there. And they're going to look at the belts, they're going to look at the tires, they're going to look at the chains, they're going to look at the liquids, they're going to look at whatever they have to look at, the filters and everything. I don't know anything about cars, okay? But unless you know enough to check all those things, because you may just know how to change the oil, and that's good for you. I've changed oil. I learned how to do that too. But I'd rather let a professional do it because they're going to look for the other stuff too. But are you going to get some professionals in your life to help you in all the areas you need to be growing in? That's really the key. You know, some of the people you hear come up to the microphone, what do they say sometimes? They say how much they've improved or grown because of counseling. Now, counseling, because of the skill sets and talent sets that Elder and I kind of cover a wide variety of them, we can help you in several of those areas, okay? But you don't have to come to us. Now, you might specifically come to us for the spiritual stuff because that's why you're here in this congregation. But you can go to somebody else for the physical stuff, the health stuff, the finance stuff, so whatever the other stuff, okay? The mental health stuff, whatever. Go get some professional guidance and help so that you can be at your peak performance. So you can figure out what that peak performance looks like. In a lot of ways, I'm 61 now. I don't think I've got anything less going on now than at any other point in my life. I think I'm at whatever peak. Now, I'm not quite as, physically what I might have been when I was younger, but not too far off. And it's because I've made efforts of late to work on those things so that I can find those peak levels, at least for where I am right now. Because my peak level at 61 will not be what it was at 41 or 21. But are you even close to your peak levels at anything? Or are you way underperforming? Now, by the way, that does really matter. Not to me, as far as your performance. My performance matters to me. But it really matters to him. He's trying to decide what to do with you forever. Look, don't be one of those Christian-minded people that just think, well, I got my golden ticket. What do you mean he's trying to evaluate me? He's trying to evaluate you. There's a judgment day coming. Christianity says it too, but I don't know why they say it because it sounds like everybody's in already anyway. So what are they going to be judged on anyway? When you got your golden ticket, you made your altar call, what's the point of judgment day? Because that's not the way it works, right? So Judgment Day is not judging you, you're in, you're out. It's also judging you, what am I going to do with you? Where do I have to put you? Where do I have for you? What am I going to do with you in forever? He's watching you. This is an audition. This is a job application. This is, you ever do like a work trial with a job? Like, here, let's try this out and see if I like you and you like us and you want to work here? Okay? That's what this is all about. And I don't want you to be thinking that you have to be doing anything impressive. He will be impressed if you maximize what you can do. Okay? Just do the most you can do. And please don't judge what you can't do. If you can't, you can't. He wants to see anything that's a won't, or that you're not going to try, or that you're willing to aim a lot lower than you should because you actually are capable of a lot more. A good parent will see that child underachieving and be kind of disappointed and maybe that, give that child a little bit of grief. And the child's like, but I got an 80. And the parent's like, yeah, but I know you're capable of a 90 or 100. You're just being lazy. Now, some parents do that and they don't really know what the child's capable of. But if you know what the child's capable of, my mother gave me grief on 99s like you can't believe. You couldn't get one more point? Now, she was a 5th grade teacher. And she also knew I had a genius IQ and that I was just being lazy. Don't think for a second high IQs means you're going to be good at anything school-wise. As a matter of fact, for some, it's a lot harder because it takes a lot of effort to focus when you have a distracted brain, all right? Especially when things come real easy. I told my wife, I said, you had it a lot better in school and performed a lot better in school because you didn't have the same problems I had. And I'm not saying she's not smart. She's very smart, but she doesn't have that problem I had. So she learned to work at it. So she developed tremendous work habits that I never developed. So she was a whole lot better in school than I was. Well, meanwhile, I was understanding things like this without any problem that she actually had to put a lot of effort into, but it didn't get me anywhere necessarily because I, would get bored and not put the effort in because it was coming to me too easy. Up to a point, right? Up to a point. And so later in life, I struggled because I didn't have the work ethic. Okay, I didn't understand how to really hunker down and do what needed to get done on a daily basis because I could cram in the last minute and get 100. I didn't have to study for weeks and weeks or whatever. But that's not great. I mean, some of you are like jealous of that. Don't be jealous of that. Can I just tell everybody something? Because I want you to make sure that you really hear this. A genius IQ is a handicap. So don't ever think I'm bragging. I've struggled more than I could even tell you because of the IQ thing. It has not made it easier for me. All right? I would have rather just be at a more normal level and then learn like everybody else how to do things on that normal level than have the thing. Because it's very frustrating to see things so easily that other people don't see and be frustrated not understanding why they can't see it. Okay? And then, of course, it handicaps you because then you don't put the effort in because things come too easy. And you can do in your head what other people have a hard time doing on paper. But then I don't learn to do it on paper, so when it finally gets to that point where I need the paper, I'm in trouble. Because I can only do so much in my head. All right? But I never learned to sit there and put in the work because it came too easily. I want you to maximize where you are. Put in the work ethic, okay? Don't worry about if other people seem like they can do something easier. You can still outperform them by not being lazy and putting in the work. All right? I was looking at some clip from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And Dwayne said in there, he said, look, I knew there were guys faster than me, stronger than me, bigger than me, and everything else. He said, but I knew I could outwork them. I would be dedicated to outwork them. They were not going to outwork me. Now, some of you thinking, yeah, but look how big and everything. But he worked at it. Some guys had it more natural. Some guys had what he said, but I will outwork. He's watching us to see the effort. Do you understand that? It's all about the effort. I was watching somebody the other day, No, the name of his TikTok, he said, put away your phone. He says, you want to be successful? Put away the phone. You have no time for that if you want to be successful. And some of you are thinking, oh, but I need to have a life. Okay, do you know that we use this phrase, working for a living? Well, if you're not working and making enough, then where's the living? Because you're working for a struggle, or you're working for a survival, or you're working for an existence. Are you actually working for a living? To work for a living, you have to do more to figure out how to elevate above the average person who's just working for a living. And somebody's like, well, that just sounds like too much work. I don't know. It seems like it's a lot of work to be miserable all the time and broke. I've been there, so I know what that's like. Just so it's clear, I've been miserable and broke more than once. No fun. But I've also understood the level of effort to fix the problem. You know, your health, you may just have to give up a whole bunch of stuff that you love that you can't have because it's not good for you. But do you have the discipline to say no? I failed miserably during Thanksgiving. I ate a whole bunch of stuff that I know I shouldn't be eating. And it wasn't, by the way, necessarily things that you'd be like, well, it's obvious you should be eating all that junk. No, there was things that are good for some, but you have to learn what's good for you. Okay, some people can eat A, B, or C, and it's perfectly appropriate and healthy and everything else, but for you, your body doesn't handle it. You got to learn you. Like people that are allergic to this or allergic to that, or can't, whether it's like gluten, whether it's dairy, whether it's whatever, right? You know you have an intolerance problem? Okay. So I'm not even just saying the cookies, the candies, the junk, the pies, and everything. I was talking about even just the normal stuff that I know my body won't handle right, but I ate it anyway. Why? Because it was good. But it wasn't good for me. Are you just going out and doing things because it's good, even though you know it's not good for you? Or do you have the discipline? Because some of you are looking for motivation. Motivation is garbage. Okay? Motivation just needs to be constantly refed all the time. You need discipline. Okay? Discipline is the ability to do what has to get done even when you don't want to. No matter what the circumstance, you're going to do it anyway. That's discipline. Man, I was watching a clip of the highlights for a guy named Sweetness, Walter Payton. Okay? And he set the single game rushing record at the time of 275 yards in a game when he had 104 temperature and the flu. But he showed up to play anyway. I'm not saying that was smart. Okay? But he showed up to do his job. Now, I'm not, again, telling you that was smart, but I'm just saying this is the could you imagine even playing under those conditions? You wouldn't have known he had anything wrong with him. He set the single game rushing record. It wasn't because he got the ball and everybody just got out of his way. He did Walter Payton type stuff. You don't know who he is? Go look him up. Crazy good. Chicago Bears, crazy good running back. Okay? One of the best of all time. Arguably the best of all time. Depends on how you look at things, right? And he didn't just run around people. He was a little guy, but he'd run through you. He'd stiff arm you and knock your head off, and he'd put his shoulder pad down and knock you down and around. He hit people on purpose when he was about to get tackled. No, he hit you. But he did this even with the flu. We don't have people like that today. Any kind of a sniffle, anything else, they're going to just quit and run. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just showing you an extreme. I was watching a playoff game in the 70s. 70s football players are very different than today. Because they weren't millionaires. They weren't getting paid. They all had other jobs during the rest of the year. Guy on the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs broke his arm in the game, played the whole game with a broken arm. Didn't tell anybody till the game was played with a broken arm. That's a whole different level. Okay? And it wasn't, and I don't want you thinking, oh, of course you're getting paid millions of dollars. Not back then they weren't. They needed another job to make their bills with the NFL pay. All right? This is back in the 70s. Played with a broken arm. You guys will find any excuse not to do. You guys will be like, well, I'm too tired to come on Shabbat. I'm going to stay home and sleep. I guess I'll just Shabbat at home. It's a little rough. A lot of you aren't even here tonight. You're watching on the screen. You could have been here. Oh, but I got to go to work tomorrow. So does everybody else. I got to go to work tomorrow. Everybody in this room got to go to work tomorrow pretty much. Well, but I'm tired. I had a long week. Did you work 7 days? I did. Just saying. I worked Thanksgiving. Elder will tell you. I worked Friday after Thanksgiving. We were closed, but I was here almost all day. I worked yesterday because on Shabbat's my biggest day. I work every day. What's your excuse? Because you have them, plenty of them. And as Elder would say, excuses are for you, okay? To make you feel better about your choices. You're going to justify it with a rational lie. Because you're going to rationalize it, right? So that's a rational lie. It sounds good, but it's a lie. Look at those 5 areas of your life and ask the question, am I rational lying to myself about any of these areas, about the things I know I need to do? Okay? I've listened to some of the great motivators out there saying that one of the things they came to realize at a young enough age was if I don't want to, it has to get done. As a matter of fact, when I look at my to-do list for the day, I go to the thing I want to do least first and get that out of the way. Otherwise, you will never get it done. You'll keep doing other things and put it off and other things, put it off. Do that thing you least want to do it first. Get it out of the way. Then you'll feel really good. Hey, I got this thing finally done. And we do that even with things we want to do. A bunch of you are going to miss out on all the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales because you kept putting it off, and then next thing you know, sale's over and you missed it. You could have gone online, bought what you wanted, whatever, at a discount, but now the sale's over. Why? Because you got lazy and put it off. Motivational tape I listened to back when I was 15 years old. And the guy had a problem with procrastination. So you know what someone told him to do? When you wake up in the morning or anytime something comes up, you sit there and say 100 times, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. So anytime something would come up that's about to, he said, no, do it now. He trained himself to do it now. It wasn't Brian Tracy. All right? It was an Amway tape from multi-level marketing, some guy that was a crown diamond, whatever, motivating guy. Guy's name was Jim Jans. Okay? Some of you guys can go back that far. Anyway, he's from Canada. But anyway, I remember that. I didn't even think of that. 61 years old, I remember that from when I was 15 years old. That tape made a difference. Had nothing to do with multi-level marketing. Had nothing to do with any products. It had to do with a mindset. And I listened to those tapes for years, no matter what business I was in, to learn how to approach doing what I was doing. Do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. And so as soon as something would pop up, he'd be like, do it now. He trained his mind to that. Because you guys are all good at do it tomorrow. Do it later. Some things that's okay with because it doesn't have the highest priority, but you better have that priority on the things that have to be done now that you do it now. Okay? So are you going to now tomorrow's Monday, are you going to tomorrow start looking for that health professional you need? Oh, but it's expensive. Being sick's expensive. Being unhealthy is expensive. Just go ask people that have issues how expensive that is. I don't care if you got insurance, it's expensive. Taking care of yourself can be expensive too. I use a lot of supplements. I use a lot of things to balance out all the stuff that I'm doing. It is not cheap. Okay? But then you're like, well, I can't afford it. Well, you can't afford it because you're not making enough money. But I don't know how to make more money. Why not? You know, right now, there are teenagers making 6 figures because they figured out how to do something on the internet and do whatever, and they're just making all this money. And you're going to sit there going, that teenager's smarter than you. All right? You can figure something out. Come get some guidance. If you don't, it ain't going to. Can we understand one thing? Can we all agree? If you don't, it's only going to get worse. Can we at least agree to that? If in all of those 5 areas of your life, you do not do anything tomorrow or the next thing, it is not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. Can we at least agree to that? All right. So are you going to be committed to say, do it now, tomorrow when you get up, or even tonight when you go home, make a list of things to do tomorrow. That's your best way to get going. The night before, write down what you're doing the next day. Have a plan. Okay? Those who fail to plan to fail. Okay? Have a plan. If you could only see the amount of days of your life, months of your life that you wasted trying to think of what you wanted to do next. It may only take 10 minutes to figure that out, but how many times a day are you doing that every day? Because you're at that moment like, okay, I just finished this. I don't know, I could do this, I could do that. You have no plan. You don't have a list. Because as soon as I finish with one task, boom, I look at the list, what's next? When I don't do that, you know what happens? I waste a lot of time. And I often grab something that's easy, fun, or less whatever, and I don't do the thing that needs to get done. Because we have a default part of our brain that wants to avoid those things, unless you put it on the schedule. How many of you have called up and spoken to Elder to get on my calendar? Right? Almost everybody that's ever talked to me. Do you know why that is? Because if I didn't create that space and give it to him to do, none of you would ever have an appointment. You know why? Because I have a hard time giving up a space of time that I might need for something else. So when people would ask me in the past, hey, I'd like to see you Tuesday, would that work? I said, I think so, but let me get back to you, and it would never happen. Because I liked the idea of having that time available for whoever, whatever came up. Elder can tell you that. But if I give him, book up Tuesday and Thursdays every week, I'm available all day, give me just a lunch, whatever, I have no control over it, so I can't get in the way of it. I learned me. Some of you need to find a way to handle you that way. Okay? I am so much more productive because I gave that to somebody else, because I would never book that. He can tell you back before I gave that to him. I kept putting things up because I was protective of options. Anybody have a problem protecting options? I just want to have options. So I don't want to commit to anything, because otherwise, what if something else comes up? Anybody guilty of that? That was me. I couldn't get remotely what I get done now because of that problem. Because I wanted options. If you're red, you want options. Okay? Because you're always running to 50,000 ideas, and, well, what if I need the time to do that? What if I come up with something on Tuesday next week, or 2 weeks from now, and you already blocked it out? You know what? If something really comes up, you know what's here, listen, it can be moved. I'll call Elder and say, look, this came up. I need the space. But I didn't need the space to hold it for something. I actually had something to do. That I now said, I need to do this, so I can move something. But what if nothing comes up? Which happens more often than not. I've got the appointments. Do you block out your time? Look, we talk about budgeting money. You guys need to budget time. What is the most valuable commodity in the world, in existence? Time. You can get plenty of money at any point. I know some of you think that's crazy, but you can. Money is available. Time is not. There's only a finite amount of it in your life. You only have that much, and that's it. You don't even know how much it is either. Isn't that kind of obnoxious? If you go to the bank right now or look on your phone, you know exactly how much money you have. Or maybe you don't have a bank, so you put this in your pocket. Okay, I've got $4. But you know what you have. You don't know how much time you have. But we waste so much of it. We need to stop doing that. And we waste a lot of it in being mad at people that we should be loving. Or being frustrated with people that we should be helping or working with or whatever. We just waste a lot of time. We waste time not fixing things that should be fixed in relationships, etc. And same thing with your finances and your health. You waste time because you're not going to make the appointment. You're going to say, oh, I'll do that next month. I'll do that. I'll get to that. Oh, I'm going to start a diet after Thanksgiving. Oh, no, I'll do it after Hanukkah. Oh, no, I'll do it after the New Year. Oh, I'll do it after Passover. You're never going to do it. There's always going to be an after. Whatever it is that you don't want to do, guess what? You're not going to do it. And by the way, you'll be like, well, that's why I need motivation. No, you have to make a decision. I'm deciding to take care of this area of my life starting now. Not do it now. Now. Here's another tip I got from the same guy. At the moment you set a goal, any kind of goal, you decided you want to do something that's a goal that you haven't done yet. Do something immediately that's towards that goal. Okay? I'm deciding to fix my health. Fine. I can't, if it's during the day when you have that thought, call and make an appointment. If it's not, put it in a reminder on your phone that's going to pop up, and you're going to do it when that thing pops. Do something towards accomplishing your goal. Anything. Do something. It helps lock it in. Take an action towards the goal. Not just writing down on a slip of paper somewhere, hey, I think I want to get my health better. I mean, if right now I can't call anybody, right? It's 7:50 at night. It's almost 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. Let's say I was starting this off. I would go on my phone, set a reminder to it's 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, whatever time tomorrow morning. It pops up and says, call and make an appointment for your health. Okay, call and meet with a financial person. Call and go get a therapist. Call, but then it's actually there. It's an appointment to pop up on my phone that I need to do. Don't write something like, plan to do something. No. Make it clear what it is you're going to do. So when it pops up, you pick a time when you should be available, and you do it. Are we going to be productive starting now? That was very underwhelming. Yes, whatever. Stop talking. We're tired. You beat on us long enough now, half an hour. Are we going to be productive? In all 5 areas of your life? Yeah. Okay, we're going to focus and grow and do it now, do it now, do it now. All of you, I want you to be excited at the next Rosh Chodesh to say, man, I accomplished a bunch this month. Okay, I accomplished a bunch this month. Okay, let's do that. All right, let's do that. Let this inspire you to discipline. I'm not motivating you. Look, I've been a motivational guy my whole life. I've had groups of people that I had to work with and motivate. And you know what I found? They only stayed motivated as long as I was pumping them up. As soon as I walked away, but I was convinced, yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah. And then I walk away and nothing. Because I was the energy. I had them all like, hey, we're going to go do it. I was working with a sales team. We're going to go out there. We're going to make the calls. Oh, yeah. And then I go away, come back. What happened? Because it wasn't coming from inside them. Okay? You got to find inside you. I'm trying to inspire you to be inspired by you. I want you to look in you and come up with this stuff. All right? I'm not here to motivate you. If being here and knowing what he's trying to do with you and what he's offered you is not motivation enough, I certainly can't add anything to that. I mean, what can I offer you beyond what he's offered you? There's nothing. I mean, he's offered you above and beyond what any being or nobody can offer you more than eternal life and being in the kingdom, etc. But somehow it still doesn't motivate you. Not enough. Some of you are still kind of existing through life. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how healthy you are. You are so much more you can do. Okay, you don't have to be running around at full speed to do it. There's just more you can do. Figure it out and do it. Amen? Amen. All right. All right, if anybody wants to come up and ask a question about all that or make a comment or anything, you're welcome to come up. If you're on live stream, you're welcome to type it in. Hopefully that was useful and helpful to you. And that you would be inspired to go forward with all these things, right?
All right, Rabbi. I want to go first, if that's all right.
Yep.
So it's been a while back, maybe a year or so ago, you had put a challenge out that we should do a time audit every day. Just write it down. Don't flat, just do an audit of what we doing every day, how we're spending our time. minute by minute, from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed. So I did that back. That's been a couple of years, I guess, when we did that. You put that challenge. So this, I don't know, couple of weeks ago, I was like, I need to do this. Yes, I've been doing it. And, there's just a lot of holes in my time that, I could be, it was wasted time that I saw that because I'm like, I just need to do more, I guess. And so I guess it's been probably beginning of last month, the last Rosh Chodesh, when I started that. So I saw a quote. I got it written down there. It says, "How you do anything is how you do everything." So the premise was like you said, it's easy to do the easy things, but that quote is, you're not going to if you don't put the effort even in the little things, or the hard thing. You think it's easy to do the easy things and just kind of push the hard stuff around. If you do all of those, how you do one thing is it translates to everything you do. Because eventually you're going to, even the easy things, you're not going to do anymore because they're a waste of your time, whatever. So I'm doing that time audit. I'm kind of filling those holes. But how do I balance? Like you said, we got to have that social interaction. But I'm just trying to stay more motivated. Is like, yeah, sure, okay, we leave out of here after Shabbat or sometime during the week, and everybody wants to spend a couple hours here or there going bowling or hanging out, doing whatever, it's like, I don't have time for that. I'm working on, like you said, when we wake up, if we pass away before and if we get called up with Yeshua, we're going straight to a battle. We're going straight to war. So I need to be preparing now and not out having just tons of fun. It's easy to fall back into that. It's easy to go hang out and do there. So where is that balance at? Like you said, is what's more important is do I get ready for the coming battle, or do I need to have more social interaction?
All right. So first of all, I like some of the quotes you put in there, like, how you do anything is how you do everything. We used to say how you practice is how you'll do when it's a real situation. So I'm glad you brought those out. I'm going to get to the question here in a second. Also, I didn't mention this, but when I said that you should pick a goal and then go get help, one of the things that you should be getting from any advisor is an evaluation or assessment. Like I said, I go to the doctor and she does blood work, and then we get an assessment as to where I am at that moment, right? So certainly you can do that with your finances. We call that developing a budget. And the way you develop a budget, you first have to assess what you've been spending. So you have an idea of where the money has been going before you wrestle it into where it should go. Because some of you are like, well, I don't know how to make a budget. I don't know how much I should put to food or put for this or put for that. Well, why don't you go look at what you've already been spending? So I tell people, go grab the last 3 months of all your credit cards and your bank statements or whatever and figure out what you've been spending. Okay? And the same thing with your time. If you can't go back, you can go forward. So he started writing down from the morning until night, what did he spend time doing all day? You could do that, by the way, when I was a personal trainer. I had a bunch of people, believe it or not, I know this is shocking, who part of their personal training was they wanted to lose weight. They wanted to get their eating habits better. You know what I had to do with them first? I said, I want you to write down for a week everything you eat or drink. Everything goes in your mouth, write it down. And the quantity. Hey, I had 3 donuts. I had a pizza. I had whatever. Just write down how much and when you had it and what your meals look like so that we can have an idea of what you've been doing. And don't edit it because I'm going to read it. Because I want to know, and you should want to know, what's your normal baseline where you're starting, right? So if you're going to edit it because I'm going to look at it, you're not going to get the truth. Don't change what you're doing all day when you're trying to do a time evaluation. Just write down what you do all day. Then, when you identify what you've been doing, you can make the adjustments. So you can do this in any of your areas of your life. You can do an assessment. Now, balance is the problem. This is to answer your question, right? How do we find balance? Well, it really depends on who you are. And what I mean by that is your role, all right? First of all, I don't want to be sexist, okay? But if you're a man, your role is a whole lot less social than if you're a woman, okay? Women have a much more of a social need and perform a much more social role. You guys all know I'm not a social guy, but my wife is. And so that balances, the family provides a lot of social through her instead of through me, okay? Why? Because I have role as a leader of this group and all these other responsibilities, like Shamash Rab was just saying, that then are much more critical to the things that need to get done. But they're not needing to get done all the time. There is still time for that social stuff, like when we did a group Thanksgiving here. So I came to that. Now, I didn't sit here for the 6 hours some of you did, or longer. I mean, some of you were here all the way to like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. But I did do 3 hours, and then I went to do other things, okay? And so you fit those things in as needed, okay? So it's a matter of what balance fits into you. How much do you need to have that part of what you do? So you do need to have some social interactions so that you have that skill being maintained, all right? So it's not completely neglected. But it has to be balanced with the other things that you do. Some of you, part of your role in the group is that you bring that social interaction because the group needs people to socially interact with. And that is a gift and a blessing, because certainly I'm not the guy doing it. And I'm not saying that in any callous way. I'm just not wired that way. Okay? It's not my thing. For some of you, it's exactly your thing. You're great to be there, to listen, to interact, to love on people, to be with people, to have fun with people. People need that. They also need guys like me to lead, make decisions, to oversee, to have a vision for what's going on. And I spend more of my time doing that than being social. Okay? And so to you, Rob, it's going to really just depend on the roles that you have and balancing the needs in those roles. You're still going to need to have some fun. I do things that I have some fun. They're not all social. Some things I do by myself. Maybe I want to watch something or do something that I find entertaining, right? Because I need to have some unwinding. We all need to have some unwinding. You can't have no play, all right? But I also have the limit on how much that is. My wife can tell you, sometimes I'm sitting there in the living room, I got something on the TV, and I'm watching, and all of a sudden, I get up, I turn on my laptop, because I got it right there in the living room on an up and down desk thing, and I start working. Because my brain switched to, okay, that's enough, I need to now do something. Okay? So I kind of have a sense of, that's enough. I've had that social or entertainment or playtime need to unwind satisfied. Problem is, we don't pay attention, and we then lose 6 hours. You start binge watching something on Netflix or whatever it is that you're watching, and next thing you know, you went through a whole season of some show, and you watched like 6 to 10 episodes in a day, and you lost all that time. You know. And by the way, for all you younger people, we actually used to watch things once a week. Go figure that. And then wait a month or two in the winter till the season start again. And then a month or two in the summer till the next season start again. You guys can watch a whole season of a show. It's already posted all at once. They didn't do that with us. You know. We had to wait and wait and wait. But the thing that I'm telling you, so for Shamash Rab and the rest of you, some of you have, again, look at your personality styles too. If you have more blue and yellow, you're going to need more of that social interacting, more of that entertaining, fun stuff, because that's your makeup. And that's a role that you play also to help others enjoy the social interaction and have more fun. I mean, without any of the yellows in our life, where would the fun come from? Okay? They bring a lot of that entertaining, fun stuff. You know, when there are people, we call them the life of the party. What does that actually mean? It means that's a person that's bringing life to the party. Like the party has life to it because there are people that bring that to the party. Okay? So without them there, the party has less life to it, right? They bring that zest and that energy and that fun and whatever it is. Well, we need them. We need them. It makes everything more fun. But we also need the ones that are serious and focused and getting some of the other things done because they need to get done. We need your very task-oriented blues out there getting things done, checking off your little checklists and making sure it's all there. We need the reds visionary part. Okay, we need all that peace and independence that the whites bring, you know. Okay, that calmness, that avoidance of drama, trauma, and everything else. Okay? I mean, we need all of those balance. Actually, we need them all in ourselves to find that balance. And so when it comes to how do we put time in things, I will try to block out in my time blocking. First of all, I know I need time with my wife. All right, so I want to make sure I have time with my wife. I also know I need time with my daughter. I will block out time with my daughter. We'll have dates scheduled with little daddy-daughter dates, and we'll have some time that's scheduled out. I know I need to spend time with my son. He doesn't live here anymore, so we make sure we call. And so I get to talk to him a lot. He called me tonight, okay? Okay, but that's sort of primary socially, and make sure that's in there. Then I look at it and say, okay, what are we doing as a congregation? Well, we're doing a Rosh Chodesh, so we're going to get together. After this little talk, we're going to sit and eat together a little bit and have some social time, okay? We had social time on Thursday when we had the Thanksgiving here for those that came. Wasn't required. Nobody had to come, all right? But for those that came, hey, it's great, right? And so block it out to the degree that you know you need that for balance. Did that help?
It does. And that's, as I was getting ready to say and what you were talking about, I did learn from, reading the book and stuff, is schedule your whole day, everything. And then I do have, back when I did training when I was in the military, we called it gray time, then gray out time or commander's time. It was basically stuff that you kind of wanted to do that wasn't very strict, but you had a certain hour or two here and there that was built into the schedule, and they always did it. It's called the gray time, commander's time. As you would go out and do exam. I was pretty intensive training, but we had some gray time and stuff, and you got to pick like an elective to go out there. And so one of them was shooting or familiarization with foreign weapons. We got to go out and shoot.
But it's not just blank time. You can choose to put something you would like to do that somebody else isn't imposing on you in that time.
Exactly.
So it's not just blank time.
So
because if it's blank, you're not going to actually end up doing enough.
I try to keep my schedule pretty tight, and as I said, I'm read enough to where if something does pop up, it throws me way off, and then, and I have to have that written down. It's like, all right, how do I get back on this track? Because something else took my attention, or it may something that really required that I have to move things around. But, and that right there is my mental thing is trying to get past that. Cause I'll get frustrated and mad, and then I'll just run my whole day. But, and then now I'm learning that my tasks, it still have to stay a little fluid because, there are things that come up that I have to do.
Yeah. All right. So there was a thing, I think it still exists, but now that everybody's so digital, I don't know that it's used as much. I know you have one of them. It's this thing called the Franklin Planner, okay? So the Franklin Covey Institute came out with a thing called a day planner called the Franklin Planner. Very robust, very incredibly useful back in the day, especially for daily scheduling all your activities, especially you were a business person, you had appointments and everything else. So this is a really great tool. But the thing that I want to mention about the tool is not the tool itself. It came when you bought it with a tape. This is back we had audio tapes, okay? And you would listen to the tape, and the tape explained how being more scheduled actually made you more free. See, you're thinking, some of you, I don't want to be locked in to something because then I lose my freedom. No, you're actually much more free when you're scheduled because then you know what you're expecting to do, and if you get it done sooner, you can free up some time or whatever you need to do. Plus, if it's scheduled, it's movable as long as you move it and don't just disappear it. Okay, that's something they taught you in how to use the planner. So you'd schedule something, and then you say, something else came up for 1 o'clock. I already had a 1 o'clock appointment, so take that 1 o'clock appointment and make sure you put it somewhere else in the schedule. Don't just leave it limbo waiting for a spot to open. Don't take something out of a spot unless you're going to put it in a new spot. That way you don't lose track of things and don't get off schedule, all right? So I found that to be true. The more scheduled, the more free. And by the way, if you have, this is important. What if you schedule something, this happens a lot with me, and I have an hour blocked out for an appointment and I finish it in 15 minutes? You know what that means I get to do? Any one of the 5 to 10 different things that I would like to get done that are still on my waiting list to do, not necessarily for that day, but they're to fit in where I can. Wow, I got 45 minutes now. I can fit that in. And so elders got a list of those things too. Oh, Rabbi, you're done quick here. I got 4 things I need you to do. okay? And so that's where extra things can fit in. But you have to have stuff to put there instead of spending time going, wow, I'm done in 15 minutes. What am I going to do with the next 45 minutes? I'm going to waste 10 minutes trying to think about what to do. Okay? Instead of just immediately shifting into the thing I knew to do if I was done early, because I'm done early a lot. Okay? Because I'm only going to have the appointment as long as it took to fix the problem. And it doesn't always go an hour. Okay? And some people are like, well, then we got all this wasted time. No, I've got lots of things to fill that extra time with. And most of the time I have something ready to go. When I don't, I lose 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes kind of figuring out what's the next thing I need to do. And that's where we lose so much time. Because something wasn't, you should have a list of things to do if free time pops up. Okay? You should have a list of things to do. Just like, people like sometimes go, I don't know what to do on Shabbat. Well, did you plan? I mean, for the time that you're not here, not at services, or if you're in a different time zone, we got extra time, what's your children? Plan for it. Have things that you plan to do with that time. You know the time's coming. You know how much time services runs. You know where that fits into wherever time zone you're in. So what are you going to do with the rest of the time? My wife and I have a routine. We kind of, get the day started a little bit, kind of casual and wake up late or whatever, and then we get here. But also Friday night, we know that we're going to get here at sundown or whatever time, 6 o'clock, whether it's Sunday or night, we're going to have our Shabbat, Torah study, and she's going to go home and find something to watch, something Torah-related, Bible-related, or if it's me, I'm finding something on YouTube again, somebody teaching something. I know what I'm doing. I have a routine. She has a routine, okay? Sometimes they're together. We both are doing it. But do you have something planned? Instead of sitting there going, I don't know what I want to do. You should have a go-to list of things to go do when there's nothing necessarily pressing you to do. And some of them are Shabbat worthy, some of them not. So when it's not Shabbat and you have an open spot, hey, because you probably have a whole bunch of things you'd like to get to someday. Where's your someday list? Have that someday list ready for when you get a few extra minutes, hours, or whatever that come up. Because something that was scheduled fell apart or whatever, get to that someday list. Otherwise, it'll never get done. Never, never. All right? All right, Janet.
Thank you, Rabbi, which reminded me of Brian Tracy. When you were saying do it now, like his mantra was back to work, back to work, back, like the Eat That Frog book.
Yep.
That was so good. Helped me so much. So I appreciate that.
So Brian Tracy is a long-time motivational guy out of Canada. Just for people who don't know who Brian Tracy is.
But I'm going to use it, do it now. That really resonated with me. So you were talking about no efforts being wasted, which I really like. So that led me to this question. So Abba has given us or entrusted us with the life that we have, right? And the bodies that we get, the resources, skills, whatever. So when we do not take care of our body, our minds, or everything, like resources, everything that we have in our lives, then is that a little bit like with Esau, like despising the birth, the birthright, or rejecting Yahweh? Is that as strong as that? Is that you talk about pride, but could it be also linked to lack of trust, or maybe even like maybe a lack of emunah or lack of gratitude? That when we do not take care of ourselves with the things that you were talking about, like finances, the physical health, the mental health, the relationships, and everything else.
It's more complex. In other words, I can't just label why every person or any person has those challenges. It's going to be more individual to them. And it's not going to probably be one thing, like pride or laziness or complacency or fear, or it could be a whole bunch of things, a combination of things. And that's where you have to, in counsel, let the therapist or whoever's counseling you dig that stuff out, okay? You've been in counsel with me, so you know one of the things I constantly say is, well, why do you think that is? And what do you think that's motivating that? And what do you and I'm going to get, now I already know what I think it's going to be, but I want you to think about it and see if you can come up with it. And if you don't, then I'll say, well, do you think it might be this? Okay? Because often someone will say, well, maybe it's this. I say, well, no, I think that's a level of it. I think there's something else deeper and deeper until we get there. All right? So don't be surprised if when you counsel, you get that, because I'm not just going to say, well, actually, I think this is your problem. I might get there at some point if you just don't seem to be getting there. But I want you to kind of actually think it through, because I want to teach you the skill set of, if you're struggling with something, ask questions like, okay, well, what is motivating me? Why am I not doing this? What am I... Is there a desire that's having a problem? Is there a fear that's causing a problem? Is there some other, what is the issue? And it may be 2-3 layers down, okay? So what you first think it is part of the problem, but it's not the real problem. It's a symptom of the problem, okay? That's another thing you should be asking. Okay, as soon as you think you know what the problem is, ask yourself, is this a symptom or is it the problem? Okay? And then you kind of dig that out. Okay, did that help? All right, good.
You're talking faster than what I can do my notes. But no,
It's a good thing it's recorded and you can go back and look at it.
Yes, I will for sure. Like yesterday and every Shabbat is so much blessing from this. You were talking about scheduling and time blocking, right? Yeah, so I can live because I schedule 2 weeks in advance. So I can literally have my whole, like I was looking at my schedule earlier, and my whole week is blocked right now. It's not like that all the time. There's weeks that are busier than others. So will you say that time blocking is also going to be more effective? It's also going to make you feel more efficient and more effective with your time usage?
Time blocking is always going to make you more effective.
Because
Anything that you pre-spend is going to be more effective. Okay? Well, why? Well, let me ask a question. Why would you think that would be?
Well, I think it is more effective
Well, why?
because you have your priorities. You know that you're going to be working on that.
Because you're rationally, not emotionally necessarily, thinking something through when you're not in that moment. Okay? See, in a moment, you're going to be emotionally driven to what you want to spend your time with or how you want to spend your money or what you're going to do because you're in that moment. It's like the impulse buying, right? Anybody do any impulse spending in their life, all right? Okay? But if you are blocking it out or budgeting it when it comes to money, you are pre-spending it in a much more rational, logical part of your life when you're not necessarily in a mindset of needing to go spend and buy something because you saw something that got you all excited really in a second. Okay? Because if you already budgeted and that wasn't in it, your brain should say, that's not in the budget, we have to wait. Or I have to rearrange things in the budget and be okay with that, but then now you're making decisions. So it's going to be more effective because of the thinking process prior to the spending of time, money, or whatever it is that you're spending. Okay?
Very good, Rabbi.
Okay.
That's definitely going to help me because it's not that I don't have a whole lot of free time, but when I do, there's a million things I could do with that time is what I'm trying to tell you. See, I'm a mom, so my kids, the house, and...
Okay, hold on. Let me change the whole thinking right there.
Yes.
You shouldn't have any free time. No free time. In other words, you're going to have fun? Schedule it. It's not free time. It's time you plan to have fun. Don't think of it as free time. Free time is, I don't know what to do time. I could do anything I want with it, but I haven't even thought about it, so I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. I mean, that's what we call free time. Plan your fun, plan your social time, plan your leisure time, but then it's not free time. Okay? So like when I schedule free day on a feast, that means you are free to plan to do whatever you want at that time. Okay? You are free. It's not just free time to just, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. You should plan before that day shows up because some of you don't, and you get the free day, and now you're scrambling to figure out what to do with yourself on free day because you didn't think about it. But you should plan it. So let's get rid of this idea of free time. Okay? Schedule everything, including all your fun. Okay? Schedule it. So that you might want to think of in the past as free time. Just think of it as time to do what you want. Okay, so pick something and schedule it. Does that help?
Yeah, that's what I did this afternoon with Mateo.
So instead of saying, well, I don't have that much free time. No, you don't have that much time where you feel like you could do whatever you want. All right, well, schedule something in that time that you want to do, and then you're making use of the time. Okay?
Very helpful.
Good.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome. All right, Sarah Beth.
Okay, on that same vein, and I'm sorry, I am certain I've asked you this question before, but
We take repeat questions. It's okay.
I appreciate your patience, especially with me. Back to Shamash Rob's question about when you talked about moving the blocks around, like if you have to move something, just make sure you put it somewhere else. Well, in my blue brain, if I've done a good job budgeting, there are no free boxes to move something else to. So what am I supposed to do in that case?
Again, you'll have to shuffle priorities. If you're going to move a box, there has to be a good reason. You don't just move a box just because, hey, I think I'd rather do this than that. There has to be a good reason. Now, if you have an easy place to move it and that's fine, then that's fine. But if you don't, like you just said, well, then you have to have a good reason to move boxes around. So all the boxes should have a certain level of priority to them, okay?
So it's okay.
As a matter of fact, in the Franklin Planner, there are ways to mark priority levels on the things that you have blocked out, all right?
So in what you just said, it's okay to, so say something like an emergency comes up and I have to move something that's high priority, but I don't have anywhere else to put it, but I can completely remove something that's lower priority and replace it with the higher priority.
Or push the thing that's lesser priority further down the road that you haven't planned yet because it's low enough that you can move it out a month or something, okay? All right, so that's really important that we get that. All right, so here's another thing that goes along with that, though, Sarah Beth, and for all of you. Pay attention to things that you've moved more than once or 3 or 4 times. And start wondering why it is that thing keeps getting moved. Because you really don't want to do it or whatever it is, it gets to a do it now type of thing, right? You have to figure out a way to do it. So if you keep moving the same thing down the road, just kicking it down the road, just keep kicking it down the road, eventually you got to deal with it or just take it off the sheet and decide you're not doing it. In other words, just take it off. If you're going to keep pushing it around and never get to it, then might as well just get rid of it. But but I got to do it. Then just do it. So I would be aware of things that I've been avoiding and pushing. So every time a block needs to be moved, if it tends to be that same item, then you have to start asking yourself why, right? Start to understand and learn why is that item being kicked down the road so often. All right, anybody else? Shamash Rob.
Just back on that, then.
See, as soon as we get you away from the live stream desk, you come up here. You're doing announcements.
I have all this
now.
free. I have all this free time. No,
right, because you're not on a live stream desk. You got all this free time.
So on that is, when I do this schedule, like tonight, I knew I had to be. I know I had to be. I'm usually here about an hour before we open or anything. So that's about like my non-negotiables. What else would you think that could be a non-negotiable? Like mine is, I go to the gym every morning, and it's like, well, we can do this. I don't. That's a non-negotiable. It's like that is something that I do now. It's who I am. I do this every day, and I do it in the mornings because that's the best time. I've tried in the afternoons, I've tried in the evenings, and they just don't work. And there's some nights that things come up, family-wise or whatever, somebody or a friend called, and I'm up till 1, 2 in the morning, and and it's and they're like, Tamara would be like, so I guess you're not going to go to the gym tomorrow because you ain't going to get much sleep. I'm like, no, that's a non-negotiable. I just don't get 4 hours of sleep,
right?
And I'm going to get up and I'm just going to embrace the suck and go on about my life. It's just a few hours of misery, and that's fine.
Right.
And that I see that in a lot of people. A lot of quit. Okay, there's my excuse. I'm so tired. I just don't. I couldn't sleep last night. I had something happened, and I just didn't get.
Those are those rational lies and excuses that we make, right? All right, so look, I'm all for non-negotiables, okay? Of course, unless some emergency actually comes up, okay? You have to go to the gym in the morning, and then somebody calls, and they need to go to the hospital or something, and now you're like, okay, I'm not going to the gym in the morning. All right, that's an emergency, okay? Most excuses like not getting enough sleep the night before is not necessarily an emergency, okay? Now, that's only because he decided it's a non-negotiable, okay? Now, what I would do is I would reevaluate maybe on a monthly basis, do I want to maintain the same items as non-negotiable? Because there may be a need for something to be non-negotiable, at least for a period of time, and then you've accomplished some things that you were trying to accomplish, Now, going to the gym is not that kind of thing because you want to do that as maintaining a level of health. So you go every day to maintain that level of health. But I'm saying some things you may say are non-negotiable for the next 3 months or next 6 months until I finish this project or goal. Nothing should get in the way of it. So having the ability to reevaluate your non-negotiables is important too. Okay, don't just leave them there forever. Keep recertifying them as non-negotiable. They should just be recertified. Okay, I'm going to look at my list and go, yep, that still should be that one, yes. No, this one doesn't have to be anymore, whatever. But do that as part of your time blocking planning session, right? Okay, so that should be good to help with that. Okay? But I think that's a good point, though. There should be things that you have that are non-negotiable. Shabbat, holy days, time with your family that you know they need. By the way, your family doesn't necessarily need a specific amount of time. You have to work it out with your family what they actually need. Okay? Some people need more, some people need less. It may change from month to month. Figure out what your family needs. All right? Don't you just assume what they need. Talk to them. Make sure that, hey, listen, I want to make sure I give you enough time this week or this month, whatever it is. You know, what kind of need do you think you have? I mean, you know, whatever. Just make that time. Okay? And understand that time. Okay? Married 26 years. I kind of know what my wife needs. Okay? In terms of how much time. Okay? My daughter, you know, she's 20 years old coming up. Well, I know how much time she needs. Okay? I haven't given her enough, though. I will work on that. Okay? But we've been doing better, and I've been spending more time because things come up, and then you have realized, you know what? I've dropped the ball in a certain place. I need to fix those things, right? But you have to learn and then adjust, right? We've always said observe, learn, adjust. Pay attention to what your wife or your husband needs, and then adjust to it, okay? Learn by paying attention and then make the adjustments. Because it may not just be an amount of time. Maybe it's a certain quality of the time. Maybe they need, you know, not just the amount of minutes with you, but the quality of those minutes. All right? I spend time with my daughter. This thing needs to be turned off, and she needs all my attention. Now, it doesn't matter how much time we have. As long as I do that, she has me 100%. Okay? But I've learned that. How? Because I've taken calls, and she's glared at me. Appropriately, you know? And so, but it's communication. You know? And I got to give her credit for some of that communication. Years ago, we used to drive a truck to the feast with all the stuff for the kitchen and the MTOI and all of us. We used to drive everything we needed to a feast site. And she loved to drive with me. But as soon as I get in there, she said, turn off the phone, no phone. She just wanted dad. All right. I had to learn that. Okay? But that's if you care enough with whoever you're with that you have to learn them, right? Learn the kind of stuff that your husband needs. Learn what your children need. Learn what your wife needs, whichever person you are in the mix, all right? And give them that time that they need. Not all the time that they want necessarily, because you might not have the ability to squeeze that in everything else you're doing. And those of you that are wanting a lot more than you actually need, be happy if you're getting what you need. You might get a little more, that's fine too, but at least get what you need. But be fair because they may have a lot of responsibilities and things that they're trying to get done for the family and whatever, especially with the husbands, okay? To understand what you need, all right? So dads out there, I give my children an activity and a meal. And that covers about 4 hours. 3-4 hours, you get an activity and a meal. That's what a date with dad is like. We'll go do something and we'll eat together. It doesn't matter which one's first. We'll go bowling, we'll go to a movie, we'll go skating, we'll go do something. Whether it's my daughter, we may just go shopping. Just walking around stores, window shopping or whatever type of thing. Whatever it is she wants to do. If I want to spend time with my wife, what do you want to do? Okay? Now, of course, I've learned her a little bit. I know the kinds of things she wants to do. So I know I'm giving her the time she needs just in natural interaction because I know the things that she likes to do. So you got to be paying attention. You got to learn each other. Amen? All right. Live stream.
All right, from Stephanie Henderson. Rabbi, no excuse offering here, but as someone without means of transportation, how can I be more productive in my limited daily capacity as I'm seeing it?
Okay, so you'll probably need to counsel about that, but just understand. Anybody let's just use Stephanie as the example here. But okay, anybody like Stephanie that has a transportation challenge? Okay, probably a lot of people out there do. Look, my son doesn't even own a car anymore. Sold it as soon as he moved to New York because he figured he's going to take buses everywhere, and he does, and the subway and everything else. By choice. Takes him 14 hours longer a week to go and do everything, but that was his choice. But the thing is, you have to ask this question. Whatever limitation you think you have, in this case it's transportation, the question you must ask is, are there people with this limitation that are more productive than I am? And if the answer is yes, how are they doing it? I mean, there's a lot of things you can do from the house now. Didn't used to be that way when I was growing up. You were not working out of the house. You had to go to a brick and mortar place. So, Stephanie, how can you be more productive in your limited daily capacity? Figure out how other people do it. What do other people do without transportation? How are they being more productive? You got a phone. You got a computer. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking right here, either on your phone or your computer. So it's on one or the other or both. There's ways to be productive using those two devices. Matter of fact, lots of people do their entire living with just those two devices. Okay? So just ask the question, are other people doing this? And if so, how? And then do the research. How do people make money who don't have transportation? How are people more productive who don't have transportation? I mean, there's millions of ways. Okay? All right. Next.
All right, from Alden Vidal, is it okay to listen to top influencers and self-development coaches while being mentored by a rabbi?
Okay, remember, you're being mentored by me. Okay, Alden's down in the Philippines. So, look, you have to just recognize that depending on what you're studying, it may be good to have more than one coach, but you want to make sure you're not getting confused instruction. Okay? So, for example, I'm not going to necessarily have two financial advisors. I may listen to a lot of podcasts and things to get a lot of information about finances, be making my own choices. But if you're being mentored by someone, be careful that you're not confusing that message by having multiple mentors. So if I'm mentoring you, depends on what I'm mentoring you in. As a rabbi, I could be mentoring you as the leader of the group down there in the Philippines that you just now moved over to MTOI. I could be mentoring in your finances and other aspects of your life. Whatever I'm mentoring you in, you should absolutely be listening to top influencers, self-development, all these other people out there. Just be careful that if they're saying anything, this is the same about any kind of coaching that you're going for. If you're hearing anything that doesn't seem to match up with your coach, bring it to your coach and say, hey, I heard this and this idea here, and it's not what I heard from you. What do you think of it? Is it okay? Get some educated advice from someone. Now, of course, that's if you trust the mentor. I like the woman that I go to for my health. You know, one of the reasons I've gotten great results is one of the main reasons. But one of the reasons I like to work with her is that she doesn't have any issue with me going, hey, I watched this TikTok or this YouTube about this particular health-enhancing something product. What do you think of it? And she has no problem saying, that one sounds like it might work, it might be interesting. Go ahead and use it. Tell me how it works for you. Tell me how you do with it. She's not like, oh, I didn't give that to you, so you can't do that. All right? So a good mentoring coach will be like, okay, that sounds interesting. Go ahead and give it a try. Or say, you know what, I've been there, done that, it doesn't work. Or it doesn't work the way they're selling it to you. Because a lot of people out there, especially on the financial side, make things sound a whole lot easier than they are. And it just doesn't work that way. So no, you're not going to become a billionaire turning your life insurance policy into a bank. Elder and I can straighten you out on that one real quick. Okay? But, there's a lot of people trying to sell you on that, though, because they want to sell you insurance. Okay? And they're making their money. All right? But just understand that there's a lot of ideas out there. Sound real good. It's probably good to check it by somebody. So, again, you should have a primary influencer in your life in each area that you're trying to grow in, and you are welcome and encouraged to listen to everything out there that you can find because you're looking for those one or two little ideas that could make a difference in your life from any one of them. I listen to stuff every day, all the time. Elder can tell you I play them on my computer so he can hear it from his office. Sometimes it's music, but sometimes it's one of these influencer guys about money, about personal development, about something. And all I'm looking for is that one little nugget of discernment that I can apply or teach, because I think it'll help me teach something I already teach, but give it another way to teach it, another angle to come from, that'll get the point across. And if I get 2 or 4 or 10 ideas, oh my gosh, what a valuable resource, right? Or what a valuable resource. Because some people are like, well, I don't want to waste a bunch of money on a book. If you get one idea out of that book, it was worth every penny. Doesn't matter if the rest of it was trash. All you need is one idea that will make a difference in your life. That's all I'm looking for. Man, if I could just find one, if I find more than one, great. If I find 5, 10, it's like I hit the gold mine. Okay? And so that's the way I'll be looking at it. But you don't want to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Overwhelmed with too many choices, ideas, and opinions about anything, so you don't know what to do. Okay? You get paralysis by analysis. You overthink. So you need to have, just like in the spiritual side, you need that one teacher that is your default go-to. That doesn't mean you can't listen to other things. But what if you listen to something else and it doesn't seem to mesh up, or you don't know what to do with it, with what your teacher's teaching? Well, you got to bring that back to your teacher and say, I was listening to this guy over here, and I heard this. I didn't know what to do with it, whatever, okay? Because otherwise you end up in confusion. Remember what it says in Ephesians 4, when it talks about the fivefold guys. They're there to keep you from being tossed about by every wind of whatever. That's the same thing with any mentoring in any area of your life. Find that anointed, appointed, so to speak, that person with talent and gifts in the area that they personally have gotten the results you're looking for and have helped others to get the results you're looking for. Then they're there to help keep you from being tossed about. Elder and I try to do that. A lot of you run off and do whatever you want. Don't listen to us, or don't come to us first, and you come to us after it blows up in your face because you didn't ask. And we could have saved you a whole lot of grief if you came to us first. And then we're just like, now what do you want me to do? You already did it. And now you ran out, lost 15,000, lost 10,000, lost this, lost that, spent all this money on nonsense because you didn't know. But you could have known if you got good advice from somebody qualified in that area. All right, next.
All right, this is the last one, Rabbi, from Michael, New Zealand. Rabbi, if our significant other is not into the whole leveling up thing, should I not involve them in it unless it affects her, like our relationship, but not advise on health or training tips?
All right. Okay, just like Philippians 2:12 says that you are walking out your own salvation in fear and trembling. Okay, leveling up is personal. It's you. You are leveling you up. Now, if somebody notices that you're doing well in some area of doing that and they want to know what you're doing, how you figured it out, or whatever, then you can share that with them. You can also, if you're married and you want to encourage your spouse, hey, I'm leveling up in my health. I certainly would love it if you would too, because I kind of would like you to still be around when I'm planning to be around when I'm 90 or 100 or whatever it is. And so, it'd be great if we're both getting healthier and watching what we're doing and doing that kind of stuff. So you can kind of give it from that point of view without giving specific advice about what they're doing, but encouraging them to want to do something. And then if they want advice on what to do, you might be able to give them that if you actually know. But it'd be more about saying, hey, I love you. I'm working on this area, specifically when we're talking about health, but you're not really showing a whole lot of interest in there because you said about, health and training. I'm planning to, because of what I'm doing health-wise, I'm planning to be around a long time. And I would love to be with you for that same long time. So it would really be great if we're both working on leveling up in that area. But that's all you can do, okay? Instead of saying, well, you really shouldn't be eating that. How come you got to eat so much junk? You don't need 5 cups of coffee. Okay, whatever it is, don't do that, okay? Kind of get excited about what you're doing and then be excited about them maybe joining you and doing it too, okay? Because you want them to do it with you, not because you're judging or attacking what they are doing. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay? All right, that was the last one, John? All right. Hope that was good for everybody. Now, we're going to end here. Now, of course, there is only healthy stuff on the table. Maybe not. Okay. For those of you that have brought dessert, to have some dessert and everything else. Okay. But so don't judge each other as you go over and partake of that. But anyway, we're going to end with that. So I guess I'll come over here. All right, we'll come over here, and we're going to look at this camera, I guess. All right, so if you want to be on camera, come over here. Children are coming and running. Rebbinson's coming here. We noticed that we do match today. Okay? Yeah, we got the jeans thing and the green shirt thing going on. Yeah, you can come in. Come on in. All right. My only requirement is that it's not children that are taller than me and make me embarrassed. Okay, so. Taller than me, stay to the side. Almost. All right. Okay, we're going to look at the camera over here. We want to connect with our family worldwide, and we want to wish them a Rosh Chodesh Sameach. All right, and tell them that we love them. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.